Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Monday, February 3rd, 2014. I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, you probably missed the big after party of the Super Bowl yesterday, where I did my show Spiritual House Sessions with the astrology, pulled cards, went deep into an awesome DJ mix to channel this week. Download the SoundCloud MP3 at the link below, or if you want to watch it, you are not going to want to miss it. And over the weekend, we did the big February 2014 webinar, Frozen in Time. Where will you freeze at the end of this month? Download link is down below. And here we are, Monday. We got a moon in Aries with the sun in Aquarius. There's definitely a lot going on today, especially because the moon is in a big T-square. So you know there's some pressure today, and we're going to talk about what kind of pressure. This is about the definition of your life. Uranus, where the moon's going to pass over in Aries today, is exciting. And especially when you connect it with the sun in Aquarius, there's going to be a lot of lessons today, or at least, especially because we do have Mercury, which has gone into Pisces now, I believe there are some huge signs today. Huge signs in, are you getting the life you want? Are you able to get the direction of your life going correctly? I think this is a big signal from the universe for the first time in a while to see how well our unique stories, our unique individual stories are doing. Now we're at a time with Mars and Libra where there's so much relationship stuff happening, especially after a Venus retrograde, which was a 40-day, 40-night cycle, which we have just stepped out of over this weekend. So we are reflecting and having to move forward after a big lesson, whether you want to call it a biblical kind of 40-day, 40-night lesson is up to you. But there's a lot of synchronicity in that kind of story. You know, we have just come out of a really powerful portal and we've stepped into a new one. And right away as we start into the beginning of this week, this moon in Aries fires up to make sure that we are in the direction of our lives that we want. It forces us to look at our own story. And the moon in Aries is going to square Jupiter in Cancer. And I think it's important to pay attention to the moon right now because Jupiter in Cancer is where the big lessons are, where so much is happening, as we are learning to open up our feelings. And I think that these feelings are very important in the directions we take to make sure that they don't get in the way of the directions that we take either. It's a very complicated situation, especially as we've been put in these situations with new projects, relationships, and so forth. There's so many emotions on the line. And when you actually look at the other square, the moon squaring Venus, the moon squaring Pluto today, this has to deal with, you know, are people trying to maybe control our lives, or has the universe put us in systems and places where, you know what, we need all this control, but, you know, maybe it's difficult to get all of these old control energies into a new direction that you really want, you know? I mean, it becomes difficult with control, emotions, directions. But today it's about pushing through. It's about identifying with what you want. And pressuring yourself to really go into the feeling and see how you really feel. This is Saturn and Scorpio. Let's not forget that. This is a confusing time with Mercury, which has now entered Pisces, and it's coming over Neptune right now. The dreams, spirituality, readings, channeling, this is where we are going to get our clues. This can be a very, very confusing time if you're not paying attention to true feelings. Don't get lost in your head. Not about calculations right now. With Mercury doing this really funky dance because it goes retrograde this week, it's starting to station on Neptune, where it dilutes the brain. It's like a huge amount, just taking a whole bottle of water and just pouring it on your computer. Like, it really is difficult. But if we're able to allow ourselves to pay attention to the signs, to what Spirit is directing us, we should be okay, and to have courage and confidence in the direction that we're ready to define our lives with. One where we are understanding of the emotions, we are understanding of the comfort zones. It's a lot like, running into a fire. We have confidence, and even though it's scary because it's uncomfortable because we could die, the truth is we would do anything to go save that person because we've identified with what we want to do. And it's got a purpose behind it, and it feels divine, it feels right. We've all got to go into the fires of our life and define what we want. Every situation we have all been brought up into now in the relationships in our life and what we're manifesting and where we're going is all about now courage, confidence, and to identify correctly. Uranus is a difficult planet if you do not pay attention to how he works. And especially Aquarius energy, which can be 1 minute the most exciting moment in your life, and the other minute it can be the most unpredictable, horrible thing ever that really makes you change your life. And the moon is going to pass over this spot today, and with Sun in Aquarius, anything can happen today. But what side of the fence will you be on? Will you be advancing forward? Will you be paying attention to the signs? Will you be paying attention to what's going on by spirit? And will you advance yourself? Or will you not? Will you continue with your old patterns? Will you continue with your old control issues? Will you continue with these emotions and these comfort levels that you might not be willing to push forward in and maybe get burned? But it's really, the lesson though is to learn to advance, to move forward, to learn to identify correctly. This has to do with jobs. This deals with relationships. This deals with your own personal desires and wants and truth. Saturn in Scorpio is teaching this truth. And so that's where we're at. We're at a place where we've stepped out of this big retrograde with Venus. The universe is ready to start building this tower. It's the tower card to me, but we're ready to build this life, build these destinies, and we've got to identify correctly. We might be building a road, and it might not be identifying exactly with what we want. That's what kind of can pop up today. Whenever you see a big cardinal cross, and especially a T-square forming really pressuristic around, if that's even a word, but all pressured up on Uranus with the moon, and there's excitement in the air. There's a lot of energy. But we've got to direct it correctly into exactly knowing with what we want. And that, my friends, is not the easiest thing because our emotions are involved. Our sensitivities are involved. Remember, Neptune and Mercury are dealing with very sensitive energy of our soul. But we've got this other energy that's about pushing forward and redefining and dealing with building the right structures and dealing with our comfort levels. So today, I think you'll be happier if you understand with what you want to identify with and you remember that's what you really want, opposing to this maybe other direction that you might be taking, that you might be forgetting, that you might be burning yourself because you could be afraid of the emotions or even maybe the lack of control that might be in that direction, but you know it's right and you've got to go into it. And that's how we start this week. How well do you know what you want? Are you sure you know what you want? And what is that? I think it's time for you to take a break, pause, and really define what you want today. Check out my website, inclusiveastrology.com, if you have any questions or if you want to have a one-on-one reading. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I will see you tomorrow.